Hello and welcome to another Pi Crowdcast. I'm Rick Tarosi, co-founder and general manager of Pi. I'll be your host. Our guest today is Julia Nero, who's the founder and CEO of MilkRun. Today we'll be talking to Julia about what it's like to be an essential worker during this pandemic, how to deal with success in times of crisis, and if you stick around until the very end, we'll be offering a very special discount code for folks who want to try out MilkRun, so please stick around for that. If it's your first time here, please consider hitting subscribe so you get all of our content. And now, let's get into our interview with Julia Nero.
Yeah, cool. Well, MilkRun is localmilkrun.com. It is how you go online and buy directly from your local farmers, butchers, bakers, fishermen, noodle makers. And we're in Portland, Oregon, soon to be Seattle, which is really cool. Actually, really soon to be Seattle. We'll talk more about that. Yep. Then just graduated Techstars Anywhere program, which is amazing. Highly recommended. We can talk more about that too. But background. So I am formerly a farmer, because I'm not sure I'm doing much farming these days. But I do live on home and get to look at animals. And then also founding member of Revel Meat Company, which is a USDA meat processing facility here in Oregon, where we aggregate for about 200 regional ranchers, incredible grass-fed beef programs and pasture-raised pork programs. And then way before that, I guess I spent some time in corporate America as a digital marketer and strategist for Penton Media. So I took a bunch of print trade publications and I put them online, which was really cool. So, and now I am the founder and CEO of MilkRun and all that entails.
So tell us about the motivation to start MilkRun. Take us through that story.
Yeah, I mean, I think, so obviously we purchased Revel Meat Company, which is a lot of where that started. And, I think a lot of farmers or a lot of people feel like, I want to become a farmer. Like, it's amazing. You get to live on land and grow vegetables and play in the dirt and the sun, and it's awesome. And I was definitely one of those people. And then I got served pretty quickly. That's not exactly the experience you have as a farmer. In fact, it's incredibly hard. Not only to actually be a good farmer and know how to raise animals and grow vegetables, which also not easy. You have to figure out how to sell it to people. And it's not always easy to get into a farmer's market as a new farmer. There obviously are restaurants that you can hopefully try to figure out how to sell to, CSA models. I mean, there's just so much that's a bit unknown. And really for farmers, at this point, they're responsible for farming, marketing their product, selling their product, their customer service people, and then delivering, right? So they have to leave their farms every day, drive huge long distances just to make sure people have access to them. They don't live in cities, obviously. So when we purchased Revel Meat Company, that's a mile down the road from our farm. I don't want to get too in the weeds, but I think it's worth noting that meat processors, especially during this time, and a ton of news headlines that are happening, it's this really crazy, like black curtain almost word, like right, it's behind. And that's not great, right? People should understand, especially if you do choose to eat meat, that it's important to understand what that means. Like, how does an animal actually go from in a field or on a pasture to your plate? And I know when I learned that and actually got to see how that was done, slaughter to butcher, and how to do it well, right? And then I saw that in stark contrast to huge corporate factory farming. I think that's when it cemented for me that there is a world right now of small to mid-sized farmers that represent 90% of our nation's farms that really have the answers. They are still holding true to so much tradition. They're doing things so responsibly, diversified programs, grass-fed programs, and supporting and upholding this local food movement, which really is the only alternative to commodity industrial farming. And to me, I just always hats off to those people. Against all odds, that's what they've chosen to do. And we're really lucky in the Pacific Northwest and in Oregon to have some of the pioneers of organic farming right here. And I mean, quite simply, the idea was, how do we actually help small farms survive? How do we help them make more money? How do we ensure that their businesses can become profitable so the next generation wants to take them over? In order to do that, we have to understand what's preventing that now, right? Like how, and that's solving problems of access to customers, making that easier, access to customers in a new way too, right? Like, where's grocery headed? How do people want to buy food? How will they want to buy food? And can we actually put farmers on the benefiting end of these new models? Especially when it comes to home delivery. So just taking it in a whole other direction, which is all these companies trying to figure out last mile, because we know exactly what's happening. You know, automation, technology is driving a new world of logistics. That's great, and it presents an opportunity to actually like shorten supply chains. But in order to do that, we have a lot to figure out. And the original inception of MilkRun was, okay, well, who knows how to in a cost-effective way deliver their products to people's homes? MilkRun, farm. So, okay, let's understand what they were doing, how they ran their routes, how they planned their routes, how they served their neighborhoods in rural America and urban centers. And what if we could just use the technology of today to make that more scalable and to activate really this carrier network?
So you recognize this issue because you're part of it. And I know firsthand in having had the chance to work with you, you're kind of, bumping up against this educational hurdle, or maybe this kind of like people seeing this as more nice to have than necessity. And then 8 weeks ago, everything changes. What is the world of MilkRun like now?
Yes. This is the first time I've sat down in a while in our hallway, which is the only quiet place. So, yeah, I mean, we were at Techstars, I'm part of Techstars. We were at a Boulder trip, and then I land, and like that was on a Sunday. I go into work on Tuesday, and all of a sudden we're like looking at our numbers, and this is at a time we were doing about 200 deliveries a week. We were delivering twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We had a team of 5 that did all of everything. 5 of us did everything, all the way to driving, picking, packing, ordering, all the things. And we looked at our numbers, and we had 650 deliveries for that day. So we 6x'd after I got on the plane, after I got off the plane. And we were like, oh my, like, is this real? Is this amazing? Like, what is going on? Obviously, we're starting to connect the dots, but I mean, honestly, at that point, we were just like, we have to get this done. And we had this little facility. I mean, like a little facility. We were at the back of an old grocery store in this like weird little corner. And I mean, yeah, we stayed up until 4 a.m. We were sleeping in shifts. Didn't even occur to us that maybe we could be like, hey, customers, we didn't realize that this was going to happen. Maybe we could deliver you in 2 different days. Like, didn't occur to us that was possible. We called everyone we knew, all the farmers that we knew who had vans, and 5 of them showed up, and we got the deliveries out the door that morning. And then we were still looking at our system, and more orders are coming in, and more orders are coming in. And honestly, that hasn't stopped. And then the second phase of this is, I start getting calls from farmers because the restaurants go. They shut the restaurants down. And they shut the restaurants down in April, so spring. And like, we're about to hit go time. Side note, produce is about to be amazing. But scary time, right? This is April, and all of the farms are literally like, we don't even know what to do. And then it dawns on me that like they've lost their sales channels. And some of the other states at that time had actually started shutting down farmers markets. They since have reopened. I want to make that really clear. Like, farmers markets are still running because we've learned people now want to buy food from farmers. That's great. But at this time, it just was this moment of true, like, okay, MilkRun can be the channel because everything's moving to delivery, and everyone's quickly recognizing this. So we said, okay, like as a company and a pretty bootstrapped company, we have two choices. We can kind of like stay true, cap our numbers, continue to serve our customers, keep it at 2 days a week, do what we can do, or we can, as one of the other founders in the community and who's a good mentor of mine tells me, or you can run at the cliff, Julia. And I was like, all right, well, we're going to run at the cliff. So we ended up moving into a new facility, which is where we are now, which was a restaurant distributor, good friends of ours who were like, we just went out of business. Like, it would help us if you took our lease over. We're like, oh my gosh, okay, thank you. They lent us their drivers and some of their vehicles. We now have this huge cold storage facility. I was just on the phone with all the farms and saying, like, you are not going out of business this year. Bring me everything you have. Like, we're selling out of stuff like crazy. I mean, it really is just what we can bring in, we are selling. And then we had to move to no contact delivery. So we were like all bins packing into coolers. So we had to get on the phone with packagers to figure out insulated boxes in case people weren't going to be home and they're out exercising. So it was just nuts. I told my team to call in the cavalry. I'm very lucky to have my team has been working in restaurants and on farms in this community for a long time. Yeah. And they called in the cavalry. And since then, we've hired 28 people right out of the restaurant industry. We have chefs from, oh my gosh, this team is like incredibly overqualified. I cannot believe they were here. And they all just showed up in Carhartt overalls, which is weird. I was like, nice. They were like, we heard it was warehouse work. And I was like, this is good. They all showed up with many Sharpies and Carhartt overalls and just got to work. And we figured out how to scale this. We opened up 4 days a week. Soon that'll be even more extended. And we're just doing it.
How has because I've heard you talk a little bit about this, and I think it's a super interesting aspect of the business that maybe a lot of people don't realize. How has the kind of basket cart mix changed for you? Because I always, like, previous use of MilkRun for me was always kind of like, I want the high end stuff, but it's not like a staple kind of thing usually. Has that changed for you at all?
Definitely. I mean, we've learned so much, and definitely, I mean, that was probably the greatest learning is we have this opportunity now to actually be like, what do our customers want? Yeah. Oh my God, amazing. What they want is they want core grocery staples. Like, we want to be a reliable source of the things that you want to cook and that you want to eat, like every week for you and your family. Like, we actually became this, and we saw it really clearly. And I think for the first time, we were able to actually allow ourselves to see us in that light. We're like, we can provide you your core grocery staples that you don't have to worry about safely and the best, and bring you joy and like allow you to have the best ingredients possible, like your milk or alternative milk, your meat or alternative proteins, your fresh baked breads, your gluten-free baked items, your seasonal produce, like your eggs. Oh my gosh. And flour, like, oh, yeah. The baking thing is real. And we're like, okay. And that's what we can deliver well. That's what our farmers have. And then, all the other stuff, to be honest, like, it wasn't our core competency. We were realizing that, like, it was harder for us to also deliver. So we just got good at cutting the SKUs that we couldn't serve well and becoming people's number one choice for their core grocery staples. And there's been no greater honor we could have ever had.
Well, and in some ways kind of getting even closer to the kind of inspiration for the service in the first place, right? The person you rely on to bring the things that you most need on a regular basis. So
yes. And that's what we want to do. And we had some mistakes along the way while we were scaling. Our customers have been very patient. I'll tell you what too, like, you can't mess with people's core grocery staples. It's like, we forgot your onion.
Yeah.
That's not great. Like, I get it. I mean, I like to cook too. I'm cooking my dinners too. And I'm like, you forgot my steak. I'm going to starve now. So it's been a high level we've had to reach. And that's right.
One other thing I wanted to ask about before we go over to the community questions, and folks, if you want to submit questions, feel free in the Ask a Question section. Another interesting aspect that we had talked about in the past, but you really didn't have either the luxury of executing on or whatever, is kind of partnerships. Like, For example, Reverend Nats, Hard Cider, our favorite sponsor for the show. I saw you did a partnership with them. Like, how did those come about? Like, how did those collaborations happen in this new, weird, abnormal world?
Well, I guess in short, Rebecca Alexander, if anybody knows this incredible founder of Aldo, one of the cavalry who called and said, I am coming in to help MilkRun. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh. So great example of really smart people who were like, yeah, there's amazing ways right now that we can, again, like extend these incredible local companies and help them, let people know that they can also buy Reverend Nats and get those delivered, and we can keep, like how do we actually play a larger role in the ecosystem now if we're fortunate enough to be thinking of home delivery when this crazy thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, that became an opportunity for us to help others also come to people's homes. And it was great, it made our customers happy, and it's been relatively easy. I don't know if you remember the Langley Creamery cheese.
Yeah.
With little Stu. That brilliance goes to Rebecca, but we had a farmer who sold cheese or sheep's milk to a creamery, and that of course went under, and they were wholesale, and they called and said, does anyone want sheep's milk? And we were like, I don't know, like, does anyone want sheep's milk? And Rebecca's like, well, they want to make cheese. So she called Little Stu, oh my gosh, Kelly Montoya, amazing. They spun up this cheese making kit, and the content was incredible. And then our customers we were just selling out of sheep's milk. And Rebecca's calling it Save a Farm because it kind of is like nothing less than that. Like, it kept his farm in business, helped pivot to D2C, and our customers loved it. So it's awesome.
That's awesome. And I'm glad that even in these really trying times, you're getting the opportunity to kind of explore creatively, like how the business could potentially change. So I think in these times when so much of the news that we're hearing is just like very depressing, that it's nice to hear some of these stories that are actually positive humanity doing what humanity should do to make ends meet. So I really appreciate that from you.
Well, thank you. I mean, and I think it's always a challenge, right? Like, our business did well, and that's hard to know. I mean, and also like how close we are to that. Like, our community is a restaurant community.
Yep.
And so we're not far from what's happening, and people that lost their jobs one day before showed up here. People who've been feeding Portland for a long time, in kitchen. They showed up here with no ego. They just lost their jobs, like with everything to make MilkRun happen and to bring more food to people. And I don't know, that to me is just food. Food is an incredible community, and if we can bring people joy, I don't know, customers come out now and they're clapping, their kids are being an essential worker at this time is conflicting, and I don't know, it's a joy to bring people joy.
Yeah. Well, and that's a really good segue into the first question on the list, which is, you already had an amazing company doing the right things for your customers and suppliers, but it seems to have taken the pandemic for most people to fully understand the value and take you to the next level of success. How do you balance the negative emotions about the pandemic and the situation with kind of this newfound success and kind of the for lack of a better term, the urge to say, I told you so? How do you deal with that?
Great question, because that's philosophically what's on my mind right now. Having incredible customers gets you through so much. So much of what we're doing right now is just going back and saying, okay, who are our customers? And they're people who love food, and they love to cook, they love to eat. And I think remembering, yes, right now MilkRun has an opportunity of both can do that. But that's always how it's been. There's people that love to eat, and that is definitely our core customer. And I think we have to remember, and we have to constantly try to not get too hard on ourselves for I don't know, if we're not delivering to everybody all the time, it's like, okay, we have to remember that we just need to serve people who love food and love to eat really well right now. Like, we have to stay sane too. Like, we have to protect ourselves and our team, because like the pressure that it's putting on everybody here is to do such a good job. I mean, like, bad customer experiences here are crushing because there is a wait. It's like we're bringing people food, and like, I don't know, in some cases we're the only trucks on the road. Like, we do. It's not lost on us how much it means. And like, so I think as a CEO of the company, it's how do I keep the team focused and feeling really good, and like reminding them what it means to be an essential employee. I love the word essential. I think that's always mattered, and we are seeing that. This is absolutely a moment for local food. I mean, I'll bring it up because I'm not shy about it, but when we're seeing headlines that we are about these huge processors and what's happening in our factory, the industrialized food system, and we have animals that are yes, they're not being utilized, and and then we have grocery shelves that are empty. There's something wrong, and that's scary. We need to present a solution. We need to stay focused on the solution, and we need to remind people that they're part of the solution. Like, this is an ecosystem company, and just remind people that like they're taking part and they can control that, and like this is something they can do, and like cook. Like, it's good for stress. It's good for all the things. Buy from farmers, talk to them. Like, food allows you to be engaged, and that's you. Like, what we're doing right now is about the choices our customers make.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's just staying focused on that.
Okay, thank you. What has surprised you the most over the past couple months? And you're welcome to interpret this in any way you like.
Wow, there's like so much. Everything is just every day. Oh my gosh, whoa.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Hey, I like, the fact that it took us a while to like bring our head up from the fog and be like, we've grown this much. Like, this many people were like, MilkRun is who we're going to use. I don't know why that was surprising, but it was amazing. And then it was the second fear, and I'll be really honest, and a little bit back to your other question of, okay, maybe this was just a blip. And like, tomorrow, it's like everybody's going back to the grocery store, nobody really cared, and we're back to square one, and like we ran at the cliff, and now we're falling off the cliff.
And we made it to the cliff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great, thanks guys. We sprinted here. Yeah, we're just gonna go home now. And I'm still pinching myself and trying to figure out if that's real, but like the customers like who are, I don't know, it's like still staying, still cooking, the engagement. I mean, I just never could have dreamed of that. It surprises me every day, the talent in the food scene and system, like the food community here in Portland. I think it represents the talent of the food industry everywhere is like, I don't know. I've been trying to tell these startup community or like investors, let's say, for a long time that like the reason that this company will scale well is because of the people who understand this market. They live and breathe it, like their talent, like, oh my gosh, it may be sitting in kitchens, behind walls, but this operational team and what they do every day is my favorite surprise. Oh my gosh, like, whoa.
That's awesome. Let's see. There was one that came in through chat that was just kind of right on the same line, so I'm trying to find out. Here it is. Okay, so we are so fortunate to have MilkRun in Portland. Do you think about potentially scaling this to other communities or enabling similar models elsewhere? And I'll also tag on, and how do you need to think about that differently? Like, is Seattle a much different market to enter, or is it just slightly different? Curious about how you explore potential new opportunities.
Great question. I think a little bit of what I'm trying to do right now is the opportunities are massive. Like New York, Detroit, Denver, Austin, like farmers, chefs, and friends of mine who've understood what we're building, like all have been calling immediately, like volunteering to sell through us, to scale it, to set it up. Like, And at first I was like, oh my God, like we're going everywhere. Let's figure this out. Really sprinting out the cliff. And so just to answer, yes, we are 100% focused on how to get this in other communities and always have been. And then to that point though, it is vastly different, right? So I'll give you a great example. Like I'll just address Detroit for a second because that's where I'm from, and I've had great connections there. It's always been a dream of mine to bring MilkRun to Detroit. So when I started getting the calls from the farms I know, the restaurants I know, and the people that I know who were like, "Can we bring this here?" What we learned actually when assessing if that was a good idea at this time, was what the city of Detroit actually needed was meals. It was meals. It was not, they needed fast distribution of cooked food. It was not per se, and yes, it was a farmer lost supply issue, absolutely. But really what people needed was that, and we weren't going to be the right company. So that was great. It was like, you know what? Like we really can't do better than the people right now in Detroit who are serving that community is the best. And they're doing a great job. So we'll revisit that on another day. But then Seattle, looking at that, that was immediately the opportunity because so many farms we knew were so affected and it's so big. And then so many people have been calling like customers and saying, there's a bit of like an anti-big company culture there. It's like we want to support local. Like the awareness there is actually, we've always said if we can make it in Portland, we're like, this is a diehard community. Like this, like talking about people who love food, like this, like I don't know, like it's just different. Like so having the kind of customer base there that really feels like they don't have this kind of option has been really cool and also surprising. But we're ready. We're going.
That's awesome. Okay, next question, scrolling back up, and it's kind of a good follow-on. At this point, if you had $10 million to spend, would you grow locally in other locales, so use the farms around the surrounding area, or would you look to export and import products from other locations? Like, how does that supply chain look in a perfect world to you?
In a perfect world, we have 50,000 MilkRun cold storage containers set up across the country that 2 million farms are selling through to every home within a 50-mile radius of each one of those cold storage containers, whether you live in rural America or whether you live in the city. Yep. I don't think that's only going to cost $10 million. I think it is 100% the point that people can have access to their local farmers and local food. We also recognize that, like citrus, for example, we're not so great here at growing oranges or grapefruits or lemons. And in the winter, your body needs that. And we do have access to California where there's some incredible vine ripened Heritage Grove, like amazing citrus that everybody should have. So we've had to make those decisions, which meant that was kind of the MilkRun marketplace.
Yep.
That concept came, which is we want to, again, it's all about empowerment. This is people who love food. They want to know all the things about food. So we should be able to say, cool, we are going to sometimes bring in some of these seasonal items. We'll see how people respond to them. It's a constant conversation. I mean, the deliberation before we make that buy is heavy. I like call all the farmers and I'm like, okay, what do you think if we do this? It's like a very ethical question. Organic Valley, great question. I consider that kind of a good example. We started that partnership. We knew we had Gary's milk and we were quickly scaling beyond where they were comfortable. And that's important, right? We don't want to pressure any of our suppliers into becoming big if they want to stay medium. Like that's important. And so we had to say, cool, we talked to our customers. Almost everybody was requesting Organic Valley. We were requesting that price point, and we did a ton of diligence. We felt like maybe that was going to be perceived corporate or internal, not local.
Mhm.
only to learn they're one of the most incredible co-ops. I actually live by 2 organic valley growers,
Oh, wow.
and
Yeah.
they're amazing. They don't work with any farms over 75 acres. They invest heavily into their organic, into the resilience, and farm programs of each farmer. They're massively independent. Like it was super cool. So yeah, as we scale and we get to ask ourselves these questions,
Mhm.
I'm learning so much, and that's the education we want to share with people.
That's awesome. Well, and I think that I appreciate what a challenge that must be to constantly be balancing the core value mission against this opportunity, right? Because I think it would be very easy to kind of recreate the broken system that already exists rather than try to rethink it and do it better. Speaking of other locations, selfish version of this question: when is MilkRun coming to the Couve? Broader version:
I knew it.
how do you decide what's that decision making process for you? What do you do to go through that analysis?
Great question, because really, like our model is based on density, especially like we make that promise to farms over there, right? Like it's a heavy process. So we do have to have a strong customer base that lives pretty close together. So like, for example, one of the things we did is we opened up all these zip codes, like even here, just around Portland.
Yep.
And we actually had to scale that back. We opened that up, and then we just had really sparse customers in them. And then our drivers, like, it actually became economically a little dangerous. So we were like, okay, we don't have the density there right now to actually serve that well. Those were hard decisions to make. Vancouver, actually, though, great example. Like, we've been sitting on this pent-up demand, but we're like, if we do it, right? Because we're going to grab Washington Farms. Like, we have this like idea of who's going to serve it, and we're excited about it. But we're going to need the customers, so the risk is. So we're thinking about that, and I'll let you in on 2 secrets. One is Vancouver is very much an active conversation, and then the second is, like, even starting. The next thought is if we start doing mobile markets, like into these areas, and we say, cool, we're going to bring, produce boxes, meat boxes, some awesome goods for people to try, and they can buy them off our truck, and we're going to be at the same location every day for the next month, and you can kind of come check it out. Because I want people to, I think in Portland we've had the additional value of kind of people can see their neighbors' goods or something, right? Because we get it, you're paying us, it's risky. Like, we're your grocery dollar. You don't like it, you gotta go to the grocery store, and we don't want it to happen. So kind of how can we actually get the community of Vancouver to see who we are, to feel like it's their own, to see the product, to communicate about it, ask the questions. So I think we're toying with that. But if someone can say, hey, I've got me and my 20 neighbors signed up, that would certainly help.
So it's all about density right now, and that's what's leading the decision for you.
At this point, that's going to be the most helpful, yes.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Why are you already out of strawberries? I need them.
Oh, I feel you. Like, this is like, oh, we know it. Actually, I say that I said this to my team like 3 weeks ago. I was like, be prepared. Strawberries are real. Like, and it's because we're all feeling it, right? It's this like natural food thing. It's like, okay, we're just coming out of winter. Like, everyone's just praying for like a different flavor, and then berries hit like the best flavor, like adult gushers. I mean, this is the moment, and then so that happens, and farmers, like, it's very early season still. We even remind ourselves around that right now. Like, we're just getting into season, so the farms from Southern Oregon, we're more set up the strawberry growing programs. They're picking as fast as they can. We had this run of strawberries. We guaranteed 1,200 strawberries from the farm, and they were like, "We're gonna get it. We're gonna push." And then a cold snap hit, and they called, and they're like, and that's how spring works. It's super sensitive vegetables, and like it's that push pull right now. It's very exciting, but I assure you, once it hits, we'll have strawberries for days. And get your orders in quick.
Okay. How do you handle the tech side of your business? So website, orders, supporting software. Do you have a technical focused co-founder or early hires in that area running the tech side?
Yeah, we do. We have our team here, great engineers, and they have been working very hard. We also rolled out a new inventory system through this whole process. Like, serious hats off.
Like you do. Just a new thing.
Well, we were in Techstars, and our product roadmap was real, and like we're like, yes. And so we have, oh man, they've been going through it. Like, I'll just tell you this: we learned all the things that don't scale, and we've been firing on all cylinders. Like, yes, we're a warehouse full of like chefs, engineers, marketers. I don't even know, like this whole just community of crazy people. We're sleeping in our cars to get some naps and doing everything we can to make it happen.
Yeah, that's amazing. This is a good one. Apologies if this was already covered. It wasn't. How are the helpers being compensated? Are they volunteers? For context, they're a for-profit and people want to volunteer, but they thought they couldn't use them. So maybe talk a little bit about not only the compensation structure, but also I think top of mind, like safety precautions for folks doing this work.
Totally. I'll address safety precautions first. I mean, it's what keeps me up at night, period. Running an essential business through the COVID pandemic has been something I might write a book about. Even though I'll read it, but I just like, wow. It's heavy. It's really heavy. And especially scaling your business quickly, because it wasn't about me very, very quickly. It was about a lot of people. And we are, I feel super grateful that owning a USDA, so a federally inspected facility before this, meant years of rigorous and very, very rigorous logging and safety and sanitation practices that we replicated right away down to temperature logs. Like, I mean, there's so many examples of this, so I don't want to get too in the weeds, but again, it's really real. So thermometers, infrared scanning thermometers, like sold out right away. And that was important for us as one of those, so we said, okay, great. Who has like a thermometer? Well, we have a warehouse of chefs. So we have a lot of crazy thermometers out there. Meat thermometers, like crazy story here. We were using this meat thermometer, which is 10 degrees below baseline. So we had to do all this like baselining and all these studies. Those are the tools that we had available.
Mm-hmm.
Temperature logs, all that. And then hand sanitizer, for example. So that was out.
Yeah.
Thank God I had a Midwest mom who, when I was in Boulder, because my parents are in Colorado, she met me at the airport with like a box of sanitizer. I was like, I think you're gonna need this. I was like, okay, Mom.
And probably a sandwich.
There's no question. There's peanut butter. Obviously. My mom has made us all masks. She sends 50 masks to the MilkRun staff every week. But yeah, I mean, we had to, so that was starting to run out. Techstars, another member of our cohort, their name is Cabinet. We are cabinet.com. They're an incredible company. They actually owned a medicine manufacturing company. And I was like, can you get me hand sanitizer? Their CEO, Achel, who's one of the best people ever, he was like, I can get you hand sanitizer, but you're going to have to buy all the hand sanitizer. Like, this is the last batch in the country that I know of.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, 5,000 units of hand sanitizer, like the big ones, and they're pretty fancy. They weren't cheap. So we made that investment. You'll see that on our website. We use the profits there to fund our Feeding the Industry campaign. We wanted to make sure if we were going to sell it, that we could put that profit towards something good. But you know, all those small things. And then we like got into the warehouse. We had to tape line 6 feet. Everything. It's just impacted everything. It's the thing we think about consistently, constantly, and we just Anyway, so that's COVID.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the original question.
Just the compensation. Like there aren't volunteers, right? Everybody's being paid.
Everybody's being paid. That was really important to us. Again, like this is a lot of people. We wanted to make sure that the MilkRun became a place for them to make a living. A lot of people just lost jobs, and We were able to bring some people really quickly, like onto salary, who expressed like they were like, I'm in it to win it, which is awesome. The first thing I said the first day was, number one thing, if anybody here feels pressure that they have to come into work if they're not feeling well or someone in their life is not feeling well, because you need to make a living, I understand that, but like, we have got you, right? Like, you just like this is important. It's important. It's something we can do. And so we made sure that we were paying people minimum what they were making when they came to us. Actually, many cases it's been over, which has been great. Some people wanted to come on as contract because it helped them protect their benefits they would be getting. And so anyway, it's just a constant custom process right now to every person that comes in here. And we're okay with it.
Thank you.
There's no one all in this world.
Next question is coming from Miha Baldwin. Hi, Miha. Glad you're here. Living in a normal time as CEO is tough. These hectic times are tougher, obviously. What advice would you have to fellow CEOs to find ways to center themselves and carry on?
Call Miha or Rick. or Darius Manza.
Yeah, they're variety of them.
Or Rebecca Alexander. I mean, I can't tell you the hours that I have spent on the phone with smart people who I just could trust. And I was reflecting on this the other day. I was like, gosh, Darius probably thinks I'm crazy. Like, I just sounded crazy, but like, yeah, that you can just like unapologetically just like say what's happening. Because it is, I think I've even started to realize, some of the days like, oh my gosh, I haven't really sat down. I haven't I haven't had enough water. I am feeling exhausted. And the pressure, right? And it's really endless. And I just think people, just talk to people. Like just get it out. Help them let them center you. There was a day where I had a rolly office chair on the street. They were just rolling around in it, and they're like, "You lost it," and I was like, "I don't know. I just need to do something fun." That's so fun. I don't know. It's a really intense journey.
Yep. Agreed. And I think there's also, and I kind of hear some of it, you haven't said it explicitly, but there's also a dark side to that essential worker, right? That there's that feeling of guilt and obligation that you are the one that's been charged with doing this work and supporting the community in that way. So I can't imagine what kind of additional pressure that brings to the situation.
The world outside is heavy.
Yeah.
All the debates, all the thoughts about, knowing it's like it is our workforce and seeing them and the constant conversations that we're having with people who show up here every day. They're like, it's uncomfortable. It's hard. It's scary. It's scary. Like, and we're just going through that as a team and talking about it, and also like owning a processor, like at this time when, and then, executive orders being signed and people are having to go into work on these huge plants and like, I don't know, like, anyway, I mean, and again, it's also like finding the balance between staying in your protected mental space to get the job done, but also not being blind, and I've taken that very, I have a time box of 1 hour a day where I spend absolutely following my trusted news sources and debriefing with people I know who are very policy driven, so that I'm also not like putting my head in the sand. I think it's an important balance because it's reality and it is my job to be informed and to make the best decision and to consistently err on like an over the top, even if we question, is this too much? We really need to do this. Yes, we really need to do that. Yes, there's no question.
Yep. Have you considered how to increase access to more people who might not be able to afford your service currently? So have you considered accepting EBT now that it's legal for delivery services during the pandemic?
100%. So this is like, always one of the top priorities here at MilkRun is answering that question. Because we recognize our price point right now isn't for everybody. Landing on the profits for farmers ends of things means sometimes we can't always be super accessible price point wise. We always recognize that. Again, why we're trying to do programs like Feed the Industry or find ways to give back. I will also say, please let me know if there are ways we can give back. Like, we're hearing about small initiatives and things that we can do. They're coming from like trusted sources or people involved in programs that are feeding larger communities, and we're doing everything we can to like send as much food as possible to all of those. Like, I just want to say that we invite all of those opportunities. We are 100% looking into. I mean, that was amazing. Like, we had the conversation about SNAP benefits, and then we're like, well, but it's not electronic. And then all of a sudden, the next day, we heard they were making some exceptions. So we were running really hard into trying to get assistance on those programs. We're looking at all the grants available right now, any opportunity we can to have some support to figure out how to reach deeper into all of that and serve more people. Like, that is 100% what we're doing. Please let me know if you have recommendations.
Okay, thank you. Here's another take that we haven't really discussed, which is with this new opportunity to.
I'm in the hallway with the door.
Okay. We have a special guest today. I don't know who the special guest is yet. Oh, it's a box. Delivery. I was certain one of my deliveries was going to show up in the middle of the show, so you got yours instead.
We really tried to actually make that happen, so hopefully.
With this new opportunity to expand so rapidly, are you concerned? Oh, and here comes the delivery. Are you concerned about growing too fast? And what are you doing to handle this sudden growth?
Great question. And I mean,
Hi, Deborah.
Like, I was actually saying this to. Is that MilkRun? Oh, good.
It's another one. I don't think it's MilkRun. If it was MilkRun, I'd invite them in and they could come on camera or something.
One of our excellent drivers. Yes, of course. And I think, this is actually Ryan Cooter, where I was having a conversation with the managing director of Texas Anywhere, and I was saying to him, I never want to risk not being around. Like, we are the sales channel for the business that my husband and I rely on, that our friends rely on, that my neighbors rely on. Like, this isn't about an experiment of a jazzy trend. Like, this is about a solution that offers longevity, and like, this is a solution. We want to prove it's a solution. It's incredibly important. So scaling too quickly is risking that in some ways. So it is a constant balance of scale. Like, for example, we rolled out, again, the poor engineers. I was like, we do have to we had to cap the days, like how many we could actually deliver in a day. And then we would roll those over. So we changed the function of the website. So when you go to it now, you choose which day, you get options of days that you can have. And then the availability of the products is based on whether you choose Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday delivery. And that's because of also caps. So we are increasing those, and we understand if we can increase capacity and deliver well. And it's something that we're very much so aware of.
Yep. And final question. You've made it through all the questions. Congratulations. I was in New Seasons in East Vancouver yesterday and was quite shocked about how empty some of the shelves were for normal type goods. So kind of like talking about staples like we were before. Does this shift in those providers' strategies? So like Whole Foods, New Seasons, those kind of things, provide an additional opportunity for MilkRun?
I mean, I think that when I think about like grocery stores, I don't really like, because honestly, I cannot speak at all to New Season,
Yep.
to that location sourcing. Like maybe it's exact, maybe it's great, and it's just completely untrue for that location. I have no idea. But what I do think when you see those things, making the connection of like, okay, that food, like like there's enough food. Like if this struggled to get here, I mean, some of it's also because people are buying like food volumes and quantities.
Yeah, right. It's supply and demand stuff. Yeah.
And then some of it absolutely is supply chain. It's if this couldn't get to me because it had to move such far distances and so many people had to be involved. And if they weren't there, the fragility of that system is absolutely, I think, what is driving awareness about the fact that, like, wow, our farms have food right here. And like, buy from, like, they're in abundance. There isn't a shortage of that. I mean, it's a matter of bringing the farms on, letting them know we're here. But like, I can tell you from the ground level, the conversations we're having right now with farms, they are so happy. Like, they are so happy. They're scaling, they're making money. They're for the first time saying like, oh my gosh, like I've always wanted to like raise 150 head of cattle on my acreage. Like this is what it was designed for. And now I can do that. People are buying, like, it makes such a difference. I promise. Like I see it every day. Like yeah, even Grano Bakery, like, they were retail, but all of a sudden, because people are buying from them, they were able to make this pivot in the wholesale, and like their business is growing. Like, it's just so cool. And I think that's what's important to remember, and that's a direct correlation to the choices that our customers are making.
Yep. Oh, we got one more question coming in, which is perhaps the most important question of the day. And we've all been wondering this the entire call. How do we get a MilkRun hat?
Oh.
Are those available in any way?
I'm about to say something, and then all of a sudden my team used to be like, yeah. It's been a big question on the minds, and so I think we've got a couple ways we're going to be giving some hats away.
Okay.
So,
fair enough. Stay tuned.
Yeah, make sure you sign up to follow us on all of our social channels, and that you're getting your groceries. And if you like subscriptions, I would say that might increase your chances.
Just hedging a little bit there. And then just one last one. Are you still hiring? Are you still growing? What's that right now?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. That's easy. Done. So this is the point in the conversation where we kind of turn the tables on you, Julia, and ask, like,
you should have said.
The stage director is yelling at me. It's coming, so it'll be there. This is where we turn the tables and kind of ask, what can we as a community be doing to help MilkRun right now? Or you, Julia, personally. Like, we're here as a community. What can we be doing to help?
I mean, we want, yeah, I mean, you buying from us, or like going to localmilkrun.com, buying from the farmers. Give us your feedback too, like right now. And I will say this too, like from the team of people that are in here, that like, we get a lot of customer support emails, like, and they take it so personally. Like every time we miss something, it's like, hey, if we made you happy this week, please write in an email and tell the team, like, just say, like, tell the team, because there's like, yeah, it's that can't be stated enough. As we all know, like sometimes when you run a business, you hear you get to solve problems with maybe not so happy people, but there aren't enough great stories from people who make happy. So that's important. Send us your recipes, like tell us what you're making, all those things. Like, we call you out by name in this warehouse. Like, I can't even tell you how much that brings to the team. We have people leaving thank you cards, like, for our drivers, and we have them all posted up in the like all over the offices right now, and like we're taking pictures of those. So I just think like we're a really small company, and like we hear about it all, we care about it all. So that's good. That's good to know. And yeah, if there's other ways or other things we could be doing, other products that you want us to carry, like tell us how we can continue to serve you.
Cool. Thank you. And now for the final part, which I'll drop in chat, and Julia has on a Post-it note on her computer. And I have to say as well is that thanks for sticking around. Thanks for tuning in to this. And the first 50 people to place a MilkRun order using the discount or the code PI20 will get $20 off of their order. So you can order that at local MilkRun and get some good stuff and support Julia and her team. And this is for anybody. If you've used it before or if you're a new customer, please take advantage of that and please support MilkRun. Julia, always a pleasure. It's a joy getting to see you. I know you've been incredibly busy. Thank you for making the time for us and for answering all those questions. Really, really appreciate it. Hang in there. You and I need to find some time to catch up on a real one-on-one soon that's not in front of a bunch of other people.
I really do need to talk.
So we will make that happen. So thank you so much. Thanks everyone for coming. We'll see you soon.
And
Bye-bye.
eat well.
Yeah, eat well.